Do you have friends that constantly steal your stuff? Or maybe you just enjoy living in secrecy? If you answered yes or no to either of those questions, I have the perfect base for you. From the creator of Secret Underground Base and Secret Underground Base, I bring you yet another Secret Underground Base, the third installment. As usual, I'll take you through a tour of the base so you can be sure this is something you want to create. Okay, so starting off the tour at the entrance of the base, you'll see that this doesn't really look like the entrance to a base at all. This base entrance is fully hidden. There is nothing anywhere that can give away that there is a base located here. And you might actually be worried about losing your base, and that sounds like a you problem. So yeah, over here we have our base entrance. It's one of these blocks, I think it's this one here. And to open it, we actually have to throw an item on top of this specially marked grass block here. And we've marked it out by using a piece of grass above it. So all we have to do is just throw any random item on top. You'll notice it'll disappear and then our door should open just like so. Give it a second and bam, there is our door opened. Now we can head inside and press this just don't worry about that gap. And so yeah, like I was saying, we can come inside and press this button to close the door behind us, leaving the base nice and flush and natural looking once again. And now to retrieve our item back that we used to open the base, we can head into this barrel right here and grab our item back. As you can see, the random junk that I've been using to open the base. And yeah, so turning around, as you can see, here's the entire base. So compared to my last one, which was more of a hallway design, this time I've gone for a kind of a donut or like kind of square design. This base is pretty similar to my previous one in that it is pretty modular. You can put any of these sections wherever you want or replace them with whatever you want as well. And so let's just go ahead and start off on the left side. So on the very left side over here, right next to the doorway, we have a decoration piece of just a bunch of different armors here. This one is just kind of a filler section as we don't have a lot of room behind it, as there is some redstone there for the pistons, but feel free to replace this with whatever you want. Now to the right of this, we have our brewing area. So we've got 4 brewing stands in total. We also have a water source here for your water bottles. And up here we have a bunch of barrels as well for some brewing storage. And also back here we have a little mini nether wart farm as well. Now heading to the right of this one, we have our enchanting area. So this is just a pretty simple standard enchanting area. We've got a little bit of storage in barrels up here for your books, lapis, or anything like that, and just a couple of little nice decorations as well. Moving on, once again, we have our bedroom area here. We've got some personal storage in some barrels back here, and then we've got a triple wide bed to hold you and any guests that you may have over. We've also got some nice decoration with some leaves kind of enclosed in some spruce trapdoors and stuff, and some more decorations as well. Heading to the right, once again, we have our crafting area with all of the crafting blocks that you should need. We've got pretty much everything I could find in the crafting section, I guess, and some nice decorations back here. We've got some bookshelves back here and also just some random little decorations as well, and some extra storage up here for any crafting items you may need. Now in the next section, we have our main storage area. Nothing really special here. We've just got our thematic barrels above the top like we do in a lot of our sections. This can be for kind of just separated items that you want to keep separate from all of the other chests. And then down here we have 15 double chests in total, which should be more than enough for your storage needs. If not, then I'd recommend removing this middle row of chests here and extending this down by stacking these double chests like further and further down to create a giant tunnel basically. But it shouldn't really get to that point, I don't think. Now heading to the right of this, once again, we have our smelting area. So we've got a bunch of regular furnaces, a couple of blast furnaces, and also some smokers as well, with our normal barrels on the top as well, and a bunch of decorations too. Now to the right of this, we have our little mini animal farm. So we've got sheep on this side, cows on this side. I know it can't really hold that many animals, so feel free to expand this if you really want to. And up here we've also got some extra storage as well. Now to the right of this is kind of the most special part of the base in my opinion. We have a little mini sugarcane farm, a fully automatic one as well, built into the base here. So to turn it on, all we have to do is flick this lever, and our hopper and our minecart will go back and forth and collect any sugarcane that gets harvested here. So as you can see, if I place some sugarcane here, pushes it off, it gets knocked down and collected by the minecart, which then gets sent into this double chest here. And then to turn it off, all you have to do is just flick that lever once again if you get sick of the noise. Now heading to the right of this, once again, we have our toggleable nether portal. So to turn it on, we press this button on the right side, and then to turn it off, we have to press this button twice as it empties our water bucket here, and then we press it again to collect the water up. Nice and easy. We also have a fence gate here to stop the water from leaking out, and also to stop any pigmen that might come out of your nether portal. And now to the right of this, our final section is just another decorative little kind of shelf here. Just got some random decorations. Feel free to once again replace this with something that you want or need. And now finally, for the centerpiece of the room, we have a little little mini crop farm. In this, I just have some wheat and carrots. I know this is a pretty small farm. You might want to have one on the outside, but then again, if you want to live in secrecy, then you kind of need to keep everything on the inside. So you could even turn this into an entrance down below to a mega farm underneath here. It's entirely up to you. Feel free to use this base just kind of as a blueprint and expand it as you need. All right, and so that pretty much concludes the tour. If you want to build this for yourself, feel free to stick around and we'll get started on the tutorial right now. Alright, so starting off with the location, you're going to want to go ahead and find a spot similar to this, kind of on the side of a mountain. And you're going to want to come down to the base of it and find a nice flat face, or create a face like this, like I have here. And you pretty much just want to ensure that you have a bunch of area inside here. As you can see over here, we have the base created, and this is how much area it takes up. It is quite large, so just make sure to keep that in mind, as if you're building too close to the edge of a mountain, like over here, for example, you might end up going out and then you will have problems later down the track. So once you've found your spot, like I have right here, you're going to want to go ahead and dig in a little tunnel. We're going to go 3 blocks deep. So 1, 2, 3. And then at the very back left here, we're going to destroy these 2 blocks and replace these with some sticky pistons. Then we're also going to destroy these 2 and then another 2 like this behind it. And then we're going to place in more sticky pistons like this, kind of creating an L shape. As you can see here, that's kind of the shape of the pistons. And then we're going to replace these blocks here, as these are the blocks that are going to come back out to here and give us a nice flush looking face to our base here. And then beside this, we're going to want to find a spot that we're going to be throwing our item on to actually open up the base. So if you want to follow along exactly with the tutorial, what I've done is I've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks to the right from the entrance. And then we've also gone 1 block out, sticking out on this kind of layer of grass here. And this block here is where we're going to be throwing our item on. You can also use a piece of grass or something like that, maybe a flower, to mark out where you want that block to be. Now this block could be anywhere. It could be further out. It could be further, like way further away. It doesn't really matter because it's all going to link back up to the same place anyway. So next up, what we need to go ahead and do is clear out a big area in here for all of our redstone stuff. So what I'm actually going to do is remove these 2 blocks here, and I'm going to go underneath this block and just remove out a big, massive area. We're going to go ahead and fix this all up later. And there we go. So here's our big excavated area. Doesn't have to be exact, of course. Now with our big area excavated, we're going to go ahead and head back to our tunnel here. And we're going to go ahead and dig in an extra 2 blocks. So 1, 2, and then we're going to go to the right by 1. And then we're going to place our button on right here. And this button is how we're going to activate the doors from within the inside of the base. Now on the 4th block in the tunnel, so 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to be replacing this block here with a slab. And then we're going to be destroying an extra layer like this down below here. So you can just excavate a small little area out here just to make it a little bit easier to work with. And then at the very bottom here, we're going to replace this block with some upside down stone stairs. And then we're going to replace this block here with a barrel. So go ahead and chuck your barrel on like that. And we can replace this floor block as well. And this barrel is how we're going to be getting our items back that we have thrown to open the base. So now with this barrel placed, we can go ahead and link up our hopper system connected from underneath this block all the way up to the barrel. So what we're going to do is just remove these blocks here beside the barrel all the way up this way. And then we're just going to go ahead and hook up our hoppers all the way along like this, just in an L shape, all the way to underneath our block here. Now, the reason why this isn't directly connected up here is because the hopper won't actually suck it up. So what we need to do is place a powered rail or a regular rail, it doesn't really matter, and then chuck on a minecart with a hopper. And then we can go ahead and test out this whole setup right now. So what we can do is go ahead and head up, throw on any random item. It should disappear straight away. And then to make sure it works, it should end up in our barrel right here. And there we go, there it is. If you don't end up getting it in the barrel, go ahead and check all of your hoppers, make sure they're all facing the right way. And yeah, with that working, we can now continue on. All right, so next up, what we're going to go ahead and do is place a comparator facing away from this very first hopper here, just like this. And then we're going to place a redstone dust in front of this, and then a repeater to the left of this redstone dust. And then we're going to continue this redstone dust in a line of 3, just like this. And then we're going to go ahead and place another repeater like this on a full tick of delay like that. Now this repeater here is going to be facing into our T flip-flop made of droppers and a hopper. And to make this, what we're going to do is go ahead and jump and place a dropper like this. Then we're going to hold shift and place one like that. And then we're going to place another dropper facing into our one that's facing upwards. And then finally a hopper on top like this facing downwards. And this creates kind of a loop. So this one's facing to this one facing this one, this is facing here, and so on and so forth. It's creating a loop. And now to actually get this working, we need to place just a random item in this bottom right dropper here. So I'm just going to go ahead and place a block of stone. And then we're also going to place a stone block behind behind here with a repeater on top, just like this. Now, directly to the right of our barrel here, we're going to place on 2 stone blocks. On top of the front one here, we're going to place a redstone torch, and then on top of this redstone torch, a redstone dust, and then 1 block above this dust here, we're going to place a torch like that. Now, this torch should be directly connected up to our button. If I can jump out, there we go. If I just remove this block here, you can see, yep, we're directly connected up, and as you can see, our piece of stone is all the way over here, and now when we right click the button, it should end up, yes, right here. And then when we press it again, it should end up over here. And there we go, it's all working properly. Now we can also go ahead and test it again over here. Just make sure this redstone line is heading into the same input as well. There we go, easy peasy. Now, I just realized we do not need this here. This was a mistake on my end, so just go ahead and remove that. You do not need that. All right, so that's pretty much most of the redstone done. All we need to do now is link our output all the way up to our pistons on this side and also to our blocks that we're gonna be replacing in a minute to power these pistons as well. So let's hop back down into our redstone pit, and on this dropper right here, the one that the hopper is facing directly into, we're gonna be placing a comparator out this way. If your block is in here, then it will be turned on. Kind of makes things a little bit easier. Now in front of this comparator here, we're going to place a repeater to just kind of extend the signal of the redstone dust a little bit. And then let's place a redstone dust at the end here. Now we're going to have to make a kind of staircase all the way up over this way. So let's go ahead and destroy some blocks like this. So we're just going to continue this staircase all the way up like this. We're just going to try and get it out of the way of everything. So let's continue it up here. And we're pretty much wanting to bring this 1 block above the pistons here. So let's go up once again. So we've gone up a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 blocks. And we're just going to continue this all the way up. And now we're just going to make a tunnel all the way to the other side. And now to make this a little bit easier to link it up, let's just remove some of these blocks here. Also behind the pistons, just like this. And then we're going to dig straight up like this in kind of a row, and that'll make it easier. There we go. We've linked back up with our little tunnel thing over this way. So now we can just go ahead and extend this all the way over this way. And at this point here, we can bring it back down like this. So now let's continue our redstone line all the way across. And at this point here, somewhere along this line, we're going to place another repeater. And this one is going to be on a 2-tick delay, just like this. And now let's continue this redstone dust all the way down and down to this point here. Now, if you're on Java, you're going to want to build it like this. And if you're on Bedrock, you're going to want to do it differently. I'll show you how to do that afterwards. So if you're on Java, go ahead and extend your redstone dust over like this and place in 2 redstone repeaters just like that. And now if we come back down over this way, you should see all of our pistons extended like so. And see, there we go. That's actually a problem. We need to fix this. See how this piston here is powered? That means that one of our redstone dusts is connecting up with it. So let's go ahead and actually move this over a little bit to the side, and that should fix our problem, hopefully. There we go. So I've just moved it 1 block over and our piston should not be extended anymore. Perfect. So this system here will not work if you're on Bedrock. I had a lot of comments about it on my last underground base video, so I'm rectifying it here and fixing the problem. So if you're on Bedrock, you're going to actually want to go ahead and remove these repeaters here and remove these 2 blocks above these pistons here as well. And then we're going to change up this redstone line a little bit so it's kind of like this. And then we're going to place 2 redstone dusts like this and then another 2 on top of these pistons here. Now you see, it doesn't work for me because I'm on Java. It destroys the redstone, but if you're on Bedrock, the redstone should stay there above those pistons and work exactly the same as how it does on Java. So because I'm on Java, I'm going to place these repeaters back in like so. And also I'm going to place these blocks back as well. And there we go. So that's all the redstone done for those pistons on this side. Now all we need to do is place in our blocks back right here. So I'm going to go ahead and find our entrance again. So it's right here. I'm actually going to remove these blocks just to make things a little bit easier. And now because these pistons are extended, this is the final position of these pistons. So we're going to go ahead and place back our 2 stone blocks like this. And then we're going to place another stone block like this, a repeater facing into this block, and then we're going to connect up our redstone dust line here up to this repeater. So let's just place in some more stone like this, redstone dust all the way across like so. And now if we head outside, we should see, if we place our stone back, our door is now flush. And if we throw an item on top of here, it should open up. Nice and easy. And let's head inside and press the button. All done. All finished with the redstone. Let's go ahead and actually open this back up and just patch up some of the holes in here. And we're also going to repair our front entrance as well. And yeah, so we're all done now with the entrance and all of the redstone. So let's go ahead and head inside and start off with the actual base. Alright, so starting off with the actual main base, the first thing we're going to do is actually not start with the base, then we're going to be placing in some blocks right here because I forgot to cover them up previously. Alright, now starting with the excavation of the base, what we're going to go ahead and do is align ourselves up with the entrance tunnel here and also with the button. Now we're going to turn to the left to face where the main base is going to be, and what we want to do is take 2 steps, so we're on this block here, and from this point we're going to be digging a tunnel up by 2 blocks so that we have 5 high in total, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to be digging a single block strip all the way down, and it's going to be 21 blocks long starting from here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on and so forth. And 21. There we go. So now, once you've done that, you should have this giant strip here. And I also should mention you might want to have a good pickaxe for this next part, as we're going to be excavating pretty much the entire base now, and it's going to be a lot of stone to dig. So once again, aligning ourselves up with the tunnel here, we're going to go to our starting point right here where we started digging up, which is 3 blocks away from the button. So 1, 2, 3. So on this point right here, we're going to be excavating the left and right side walls by 10. So we're basically pushing this entire face here 10 blocks to the left, and then with this side we're going to be pushing the same face 10 blocks to the right. And I'll just kind of speed up this little section just as an example if that's kind of confusing. So once again, starting right here, and we're going to first push this in by 1 here. So this is 1, and I'm going to excavate this entire layer here. So there we go, that's 1 layer done, and now we need to do this 9 more times to the left here, and then we need to do it again on the right side. So bear with me, and I'll be back once this is all done. Alright, and there we go. There is our fully excavated base area. We will of course have to do a little bit more excavating later on with some of the sections like the bedroom and the sugarcane farm and stuff like that. And now with all of this done, if you have a gap here where your redstone is, feel free to just fill this in so that we have a nice flush room. And also at this point, we're going to have to go around all of the walls and replace all of the gravel and other random blocks with stone. Make sure everything is nice and stone. Alright, I actually completely forgot we had to excavate a little tiny bit more of the base for the floor, as it kind of is recessed down a little bit. So to start this off, what we're going to do is once again align ourselves up with our button here, and we're going to be counting 5 blocks in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and on this block here we're going to dig down by 1. Now we're going to extend this all the way over to the side by 15. So this is 1, 2, 3, 14, 15. At the end of it here you should have a gap of 2 from the little trench here and then to the wall. Now what we can go ahead and do is extend this all the way around, leaving a gap of 2 on all of the sides. So let's just excavate an outline around like this. We'll do the same on this side as well. And now, so that's our outline for the floor done. Now let's just go ahead and remove all of this stone inside of this outline here. Okay, and now that is most of the excavating done for the base, I promise. So the next thing we can go ahead and do is actually place down some of our first blocks for the base. And to do that, what we're going to do is basically create a ring of spruce slabs all the way around on the outside edge of this giant square that we just dug into our floor. Next, let's go ahead and place in all of the pillars for the base. These are the pillars that separate all of the sections. And so to start this off, let's actually go ahead and place a pillar in all 4 corners of the base. Now starting from any corner of the base, we're going to count a 5 block gap in between. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then after this 5th block here, we're going to place our next pillar. And now just using this alignment here, I know that this next pillar is going to be right here because we have a 1 block gap in between them like that. And there we go. So there's our front pillars done. Next, let's go ahead and do the same thing over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then leave a gap here and place your next pillar in. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, place your next pillar. You should get the point by now. We're going to be doing this in each section. And there we go, there's all of our pillars added in. Now it would be pretty dark in here if you didn't have night vision on like I did, so let's actually go ahead and add in some extra details and also our lanterns. So in between all of these pillars here, we're going to be first adding a spruce slab on the side of the pillars, and then next to these slabs we're going to be placing some spruce trapdoors, and then finally in the center chuck on a lantern. And now we're going to repeat this exact same design in each section of all of these pillars here. Alright, and there we go, there's all of our little details and lanterns added in. Now, before we dive into the rest of the base, let's actually quickly fix up the entrance here. So what we're going to do is actually dig a couple of blocks like this, and you might have some of your redstone get destroyed. Don't worry about it, we'll fix it up in a second. So we're actually going to be replacing these blocks here with some stone stairs, just like this. And then we're also going to be placing a stone block here like this. And there's our entrance fixed up. Now let's actually go ahead and fix up that redstone. So what we can do is actually bring this redstone over this block here and bring it back down. And then let's just tuck our repeater in right here and set onto a 2-tick delay, just like that. And there we go, all fixed up. Alright, now for the final little detail that we have to add to each of these pillars is a couple of signs all the way around like this, right in the middle of each pillar. So we're just gonna, just go around to each pillar and add on a bunch of spruce signs just like this. And there we go, there's all of our signs all added on. So now what we're going to be going ahead and doing is filling in each of these sections from the left side here all the way around to the right side. So let's begin with this section right here, the armor stands. So firstly what we're going to be doing is adding a little checkered pattern in the background here out of some stone bricks. So we're pretty much going to be adding stone bricks in each corner. That's not the right spot. So in each corner, oh my god, I keep misclicking. And then pretty much just creating a checkered pattern like so. Nice and easy, just like that. Just adds a little bit of texture to the wall. Now we're going to create a kind of like staircase out of some slabs. So we're first going to start off with a half slab, then a full block, and then once again a full block with a half slab on top, then a full block, and then a slab. Then on top of each of these, we're going to chuck on an armor stand, just like this. And then I'm just going to go ahead and throw in a bunch of random armors. And there we go, there's all of our armors added in, and we're now fully done with our first section. Now, heading to the right, let's create our brewing area. So the first thing we're gonna have to do is a little bit of excavating. So we're gonna remove this first layer of stone all the way around just like this. Now, starting at the top, we're gonna be placing in a row of barrels along the top like this. Beneath the left and right side barrel, we're gonna chuck in some spruce slabs, and then in between these, we're gonna be placing in some spruce trapdoors. Now on the very bottom, let's go ahead and chuck in 2 stripped spruce wood blocks on the left side, and then another 2 on the right side. And now in this gap in the middle here, we're going to jump up here and place some backwards spruce stairs like this. And then on the front face here, let's chuck on a spruce trapdoor. A detail that I left out in the tour base version is some signs across here. I feel like this would look pretty nice. Something that I kind of forgot to add, I guess. Now on this stair block here, let's go ahead and chuck in some water. And then on top of all of these blocks here, we're going to place some brewing stands just like that. Next up, we're going to be removing these 3 blocks here, and also up here as well, another 3 blocks. We're going to be replacing these blocks with some stone slabs. And now we're going to remove once again another 3 blocks, and then another 3 blocks like this. And then in here we're going to be placing in some soul stand, and finally on top of this some nether warts to create our little mini nether wart farm. And now to finish off our brewing area, we're now going to add in our little checkered pattern that we did like over here. So we're going to be starting off the stone bricks on these areas here, and then we're going to branch it up over this way, pretty much just in a checkered pattern, if that makes any sense. And yeah, that's pretty much all we really need to do. I've decided to leave this in here kind of without the checkered pattern, but feel free to add it in if you want to. And now we're all done with our brewing area. Now let's head over to our next section, and in here we're going to be adding our enchanting area. So for this one, we're going to have to do a little bit more excavating than the previous one. So we're gonna have to dig in by 4 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and now let's just excavate the rest of this stone. Alright, and there we go, there's our fully excavated area. So now let's firstly start off by adding in our bookshelves at the back, just like this. So we're going to create basically a giant ring and add in another block here. Now let's go ahead and add in our bookshelves on the left and right side, just like this. We're going to extend these all the way up to the roof. Now let's actually chuck in our enchanting table, and let's just ensure that we are actually reaching a full level 30. Now, as you can see, we're reaching level 26 at the moment, so we're gonna have to add a couple of bookshelves into the corners, probably just 2 like that, and now we should be reaching level 30. There we go. Oh my goodness. Alright, so now with all of our bookshelves added in, let's go ahead and chuck in some barrels. So we're going to be adding 2 on the bottom like this on either side, and then 2 on the top as well on either side. Now underneath these top barrels, let's go ahead and chuck in some spruce trapdoors. Now on the bottom on the floor here, we're going to add in some purple wool as a little carpet around the enchanting table, just like this. Next up, let's add a few little details on top of these barrels here. So on this first one here, let's add a pot with a cornflower, and then on the right side, a soul lantern. Now at the back in this gap here, let's add a lantern on the top, and then on the bottom, a large amethyst bud. And there we go, we're all done with our enchanting area. Moving on to the bedroom area, we need to once again excavate a small area, this time only 2 deep, so let's just go ahead and remove all of this stone here. Now with all of that done, let's go ahead and add in our checkered stone pattern like we have done previously. So we're first going to be starting at the very top here, and then let's just create this simple checkered pattern. We'll do the same thing on this side as well. And now we're going to branch it over to the back wall too, so let's go ahead and just quickly add in our same checkered pattern. And there we go. Now with that done, let's go ahead and grab out some oak leaves, and we're going to be chucking 3 in a line like this, just 1 block spaced away from the roof itself. Now on the bottom middle and the top middle, we're going to be chucking in some spruce slabs. It might be kind of hard to get that one in there, but yeah. And now we're going to cover the rest of these leaves with some spruce trapdoors. So let's go ahead and just add these all around. This one might be kind of tricky as well. To make things easier, just go ahead and right click right there, and there we go. Next up, let's go ahead and remove a strip of 3 in the wall like this, and then we're going to remove another strip of 3 here, and we're going to replace these blocks with some bookcases. Next, we're actually going to remove another 3 blocks here, and we're going to be replacing these with some barrels. Now heading outwards, we're going to be placing some stripped spruce wood in these 2 corners here, and then in between these 2 blocks here, we're going to be placing in 3 beds. Now on top of this barrel, let's chuck on a lantern, and then on top of this left side stripped spruce wood block, we're going to place a pot, and inside of that, a poppy, and now on the right side, another flower pot with a red tulip. And now to finish off the bedroom, let's go ahead and remove some of these stone blocks all the way to the end here, and also these blocks underneath the bed, and we're going to be replacing these with some red wool, or the same color of whatever beds you decided to add in. And now we're all done with the bedroom. Now onto the crafting area, we're going to once again do some more excavating, except we're just going to be removing this first layer of stone here. And now with that done, let's go ahead and add in a checkered pattern in the wall once again. So we're going to be starting on this block here, and then we're going to continue our checkered pattern just like this, only in this little section because the rest is going to be covered up. Not really any point wasting the blocks there. So just this little strip here in the center. Now along the top here, let's add in a row of barrels, and then underneath the right and left barrel, we're going to be chucking on some spruce slabs, and then we're going to connect them up with some spruce trapdoors. Now heading down to the very bottom, we're going to be adding in some of our crafting blocks. So firstly, let's go ahead and actually chuck a barrel in right in the center. Then to the left of that, a crafting table, and the left once again, a loom. And then to the right side of the barrel, let's go ahead and chuck on a smithing table, followed by a cartography table. Now directly above all of these crafting blocks here, let's start off by placing a spruce slab like this, and then we're going to place one on the other side as well, and then let's connect them up using some spruce trapdoors, basically mirroring this shelf that we added in below the barrels here. Then we're going to remove these 3 blocks here and replace them with some bookshelves. And then on top of the shelf here, let's go ahead and chuck on an anvil on the very left side. Then in the center, let's go ahead and chuck on a grindstone. And then on the very right side, let's chuck on a stone cutter. Now in between the anvil and the grindstone, let's go ahead and chuck in a flower pot with a blue orchid inside. And then in between the grindstone and the stone cutter, let's place a large amethyst bud right there. And there we go, we're all done with our crafting section. Now moving on, let's go ahead and add in our storage area. And so for this one, we're gonna have to excavate in 2 blocks. So just remove these 2 layers of stone. Now with that done, let's go ahead and add in our barrels along the top like this. Make sure they're all facing outwards. It might be kind of tricky to place these. Now with that done, let's go ahead and add some spruce trapdoors, all facing towards us. And then directly behind these trapdoors, let's place in some upside down spruce stairs. And now we're just going to be filling up the rest of all of this space here with some double chests. So let's just go ahead and add in a bunch of double chests like this. Now once you get to this point here, it might be kind of tricky to get in there, so feel free to just remove a couple of blocks so that you can place in the rest of the chests. And there we go, all done with the storage section. All right, next up, let's move on to our smelting area. So for this one, we're just going to be removing 1 layer of stone. And with that done, now let's go ahead and add in our barrels along the top. And then underneath these, we'll add in our signature shelf design, except we're going to leave a gap in the center block here. Now heading down to the very bottom, let's add in a strip of furnaces all the way across. And then we're going to remove this strip of stone blocks right behind the furnaces here. On the very left side, let's place in some upside down stone stairs and repeat the same thing on the right side. Directly in line with these stairs here, let's place a spruce slab on each side, and then we're going to connect them up using some spruce trapdoors. Now on top of these, we're going to place in 2 smokers on the left side and then fill in the rest with some blast furnaces. Now on top of this central blast furnace right here, let's throw in a pot, and then inside of that pot, let's place in a blue orchid. And now down below here in this area that we created right here, let's go ahead and place in a campfire and extinguish it with a shovel. To the right of that, a lantern. And then to the right of that, a flower pot with an azalea inside. Now we can also go ahead and add in our checkered stone bricks pattern like we have in the rest of the areas. So we're just going to add in 3 along there, spaced apart by 1 stone block. And then back here, we'll add in another one here, and then another 2 in these sections here. Not really that noticeable, but feel free to add them in if you want to. And there we go, we're all done with our smelting area. Alright, now moving on to our animal farm. For this one, we're gonna have to excavate 5 layers of stone. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now let's just go ahead and remove all of this stone. And there we go, there's our excavated area. Next, let's go ahead and add in our checkered pattern on all 3 of these walls. So starting off on this left side wall, let's just create our checkered pattern and pretty much just extend this across each wall. And there we go, there's our checkered pattern all added in. Next up, let's add in our signature strip of barrels along the top here. Throw a lantern on the central one, and then we're also gonna add in our shelf design once again as well. Now let's add in a spruce fence in the center here, and then we're going to extend this all the way out 1 block before the pillars here. Now let's replace these fences here with some spruce fence gates, and we're also going to be placing one right here. And then let's go ahead and chuck some lanterns on these blocks right here. And then to finish up our area, we're going to replace these stone blocks with some grass blocks and do the same on this side as well. And there we go, we're all done with the animal pen. I'm not going to add animals in just yet, so we don't have to deal with that noise for the rest of the tutorial. Alright, and now onto our automatic sugarcane farm. So for this one, we're going to have to excavate 3 deep. So 1, 2, 3, and now let's just remove all of this stone real quick. Let's also go ahead and add in our checkered pattern on this wall as well. And now we're going to start off by creating the mechanism that actually harvests the sugarcane. So head to the very back wall, and then 1 block spaced away from the roof, we're going to add in a row of pistons like this. Now underneath this, let's go ahead and add in some stone blocks. And then we're going to leave a gap and then place in another row of stone blocks like this. Then in front of this gap here, we're going to be placing in some grass blocks. And just before we cover it up, let's actually go ahead and chuck in a water bucket. And then we're going to quickly cover up that gap so the water doesn't leak out just like that. Next up, I'm just going to use some scaffolding to get on top of here, and we're actually going to have to get all the way behind these pistons. So I'm going to place some scaffolding like this. Might be kind of awkward to get in here, but let's just remove some of these blocks temporarily to make things a little bit easier. All right, and so we're going to be adding some observers on top of these pistons here, and we have to place them in this specific orientation so that they're facing the right way. So we actually have to hold shift, so make sure that this little red dot here is facing us. Next, what we're going to have to go ahead and do is remove these stone blocks here and replace them with some redstone dust. And then we're going to have to kind of crawl out of here again. So I'm just going to remove some of this area temporarily. And then directly behind these observers and above the redstone dust, let's add in just a row of stone like that. Now we can go ahead and head back down our scaffolding, and let's quickly just cover this up. Don't really have to fill all the rest of that in because it's not going to be seen regardless. And now we should be able to add in some sugarcane on top of all of these grass blocks. Now I can't actually add some in there. I think the water might have stuffed up a little bit. I'm not sure how it managed that, but yeah, let's just quickly add in some water and then we'll place grass there like that. Now we should be able to add our sugarcane on, nice and easy peasy. Now we can actually test to make sure that this works. So what we can do is place some sugarcane on top all the way up until the observer, and the piston should break it off like so. And that's how we know that our system should be working correctly. Now, before we seal this up with our front kind of wall design, we're going to chuck in some shroom lights above the sugarcane here. So 1 block spaced away from the left side, let's add one in, and then do the same 1 block away from the right side and add one in like that. All right, now directly underneath the grass here, we're going to be adding in some rails. So on the left and right side, let's add some powered rails, and then we're going to connect them up with some regular rails. We're actually going to remove this central rail and these 2 blocks as well, as we're going to be adding in some hoppers and also our double chest. So extend it all the way out in line with the pillars here. Now let's go ahead and add in our double chest just like this, and then we're going to have to add in our hopper connected to this double chest. So we're actually going to have to remove a couple of blocks so we can get in here. Make sure to hold shift and right click facing the chest, and our hopper should be directly facing into the chest. Nice and easy. Let's replace these stone blocks back and also our rails. All right, now before we add in our front wall design, we need to go ahead and power this minecart rail here. So let's dig down 2 blocks and then 1 block underneath here, and we're going to place a redstone torch, and then we can just go ahead and cover that back up. Nice and easy. All right, now we can finally add in our front wall design. So let's start off at the top here. We're going to be adding in a 3 high layer of glass just like this, like a giant rectangle. Now directly underneath this, we're going to add in a strip of stripped spruce wood like so. And now below this, let's add in some spruce planks on the left and right side. And in the center here, we're going to place some upside down spruce stairs just like this. And then in these remaining gaps, let's go ahead and throw in some glass. I'm going to place one on the right side. And then before we place this one, let's go ahead and place in our minecart with a hopper on this rail here. And then we can fill in this gap here with our glass. Next up, let's go ahead and add some spruce signs all the way along these stripped spruce wood blocks here. And then we're going to also place on a lever on this this block right here. And now that's it, we're all done with our sugarcane farm. To turn it on and off, all you have to do is obviously just flip this lever, and our minecart should just go back and forth repeatedly, and that will collect any sugarcane that gets harvested. Now I'm just gonna leave this off for the tutorial so we don't have to deal with the noise. And yeah, so now let's move on. So for the last functional section here, we're gonna be adding in a toggleable nether portal. And for this, we're gonna have to remove 2 layers of stone. Now let's go ahead and add in our checkered stone brick pattern. We're gonna have to add it on this strip here, as we're going to be covering in the rest with some obsidian. So let's go ahead and add in a strip of obsidian on this right side, and then we're gonna add in another column on the left side. Then let's replace the roof blocks here with obsidian, and also the ground blocks as well. Next up, let's go ahead and add some stone buttons 1 block up from the ground here. And then we're gonna remove a couple of blocks here, just like this, kind of like an L shape on either side. So directly behind the button, let's add a redstone dust on either side. And then on the very bottom block here, let's add a dispenser in on each side. And then let's actually remove a checkered pattern like this, and we're gonna be adding our signature checkered stone bricks pattern in like so. Next up, let's go ahead and place a flint and steel in the right dispenser, and then in the left one, a water bucket. And now before you turn these on, let's actually go ahead and add in our fence design. So we're gonna place in a spruce fence on the left and right side directly in front of the nether portal like so, and then we're gonna fill in the rest with some spruce fence gates. Now feel free to go ahead and test it. Press the button on the right side to turn it on, and then press the button on the left side to turn it off, and then press it again to suck up the water. Alright, now that we're all done with the nether portal, let's move on to our final section. So for this one, we don't have to do any stone excavation, thankfully, but we do have to add in our signature stone brick pattern, just like this. Make sure not to destroy everything else in the process like I am. Now once this is added in, we're going to be adding in a couple of shelves. So on this very first block here, let's place in a spruce slab, and then coming away from it, 2 spruce trapdoors. And now to line this up properly, we're going to go 2 blocks up, so 1, 2, and then we're going to head all the way to the right, actually remove this sign here and place on a spruce slab in its place, and then we're going to place 2 spruce trapdoors coming away from it like so. Now on the bottom shelf, on the very left side, let's place in a campfire and extinguish it. To the right of that, a flower pot with an azalea, and then to the right of that, a large amethyst bud. Now I'm just going to grab out some scaffolding to make placement of this top shelf a little bit easier. And so up here, we're going to go ahead and place on a flower pot with a blue orchid inside. And then to the right of that, a couple of candles. And then finally a wither skeleton skull. And that's it. We're now done with each section. All that's left to do now is add in a little bit of detail to the floor and also our central farm design. Alright, so to add in our farm design first, we're going to head over to any corner of the base. We're going to count 3 blocks diagonally from this block here. So 1, 2, 3. And then on the 4th block here, we're going to place in a stripped spruce wood block. And I'm going to place a lantern on top just to brighten things up a little bit. And now let's go ahead and do this in each corner just so we can make sure that we've lined everything up properly. Now with that done, let's go ahead and connect each one of these up with some spruce stairs. Then right in the center, I'm going to place in a water bucket, and I'm just going to be placing some farmland, but you will of course have to place some dirt and go ahead and just till the dirt. I'm just placing farmland for the sake of the speed in the video, I guess. Now on top of the water here, let's go ahead and place a spruce trapdoor, and then on top of this, a spruce fence with a lantern. And now we can just fill up this whole area with whatever crop we want. I'm going to do half of it wheat and then the other half carrots. Alright, next up, we're going to be adding in some lanterns directly above these lanterns here. So to make things easier, just stand on top of the lantern, look straight up, and place a lantern on the roof. Just do this on each side. There we go. And now the final thing to do on the base is add in a little bit of a stone checkered pattern on the ground. So starting on this block here, in between these 2 blocks, we're going to place in our first stone brick. And then we're just going to leave a gap of 1 and then place another stone brick, and pretty much just repeat this across the entire floor. And there we go. We are now fully done with the entire base. And yeah, so cheers for watching. I'll see you in the next video.